There we
going.
go.
Okay, I think we'll get there one day.
I see the green light.
One day this week. Okay, so you can also hear us on freedom969.com. Act 1, Scene 1 of today's show will start as usual with our trivia question and other interesting tidbits, including the word of the week. That number again to answer the trivia question or to just ask a question, 405-608-4377. In Act 1, Scene 2, we'll hear Scotty's view from the rooftop. This week it's titled Trial by Fire. Then in Act 2, Scene 1, we'll take more of your calls, plus we'll have some before and after the storm tips brought to you by RoofRx. And then finally in Act 2, Scene 2, we'll wrap up with Dad's Wisdom, brought to you by Energy Q. Coming back from breaks, some obscure historical trivia. Guys, I gotta tell you, as the elevator doors were closing this morning to ride up to the command center, a guy stuck his hand in there to stop the doors, thrust a note in at me. Turned out to be the lawyer with a note to remind me to say that S&CM LLC, doing business as McRoof.us, legally operates under Oklahoma registration number 80000002, and that the registration applies to both residential and commercial.
And he didn't know that we moved just to get away from him.
I didn't tell him.
Oh my
To
gosh.
give our audience a backstory,
Yeah.
an accurate backstory, you've never seen this man's face.
I may have one time,
Oh, wow.
but I'm not sure it was him.
That's very,
He's-
very interesting.
Yeah, he's spooky.
Obscure guy.
Yeah, he's a spook, that's for sure. All right, so folks out there, this is a show called Fortifying Oklahoma. As I mentioned at the top of the show, Scott McCollum has. I'm going to let Scott. Who are you guys?
Well,
That's a good question.
That is a really good question. I've got about almost 60 years of one way or another in the residential construction industry, and a whole lot of
You got started with the Bob the Builder toy.
I got started going around driving a contractor crazy around my mom and dad's remodel project. That is exactly right. That's the wheelbarrow and the little tool bag.
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
right. And that guy hired me, and the rest is history, as they say. So
Okay.
anyway, long history in residential construction, general contracting, things like that. And we have a roofing business in Edmond, Oklahoma called McRoof.us. Been in Oklahoma now for 16 seasons. That registration number Rick referred to, 000002, can tell you how long we've been here relative to the Registration Act. So anyway, and I am passionate about protecting people. Protecting people's lives, protecting people's property, protecting everything that's inside their homes that is near and dear to them. And we are embarked on this journey about trying to change the landscape in how we go about restoring properties after an insurance storm claim comes in, okay? And this is called fortification, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
More
talk
about that.
what that is. But that's our passion, is in serving people, protecting them and their property, and doing it in a different and better way.
And Scotty, I want to hear more about you, but first we need to get our trivia question out there and get the phones ringing.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sounds
So
good.
here we go. We're going to talk a little bit about what fortification, or what a fortified roof system may or may not be, because this is the answer to that increased protection that we're talking about. So what does a fortified evaluator do when you are trying to get a designation for a fortified high wind and hail roof? What does the evaluator say about that roof? What does he look at? Does he look at the foundation type of your home? Does he look at the roof framing and sheathing? Does he look at the ventilation? Does he look at the installation protocols on the roof system itself? Or does he look at all of the above? Now remember, we're talking about a high wind and hail roof designation. So does the evaluator look at the foundation type, the roof framing, the ventilation, the installation protocols, or all of the above?
Okay. If you
Okay.
think you know the answer to that question, give us a call, 405-608-4377, 405-608-4377. The winner will get 2 free tickets to any Carpenter Square Theater production the remainder of this season. We have a show opening this coming Friday night, and then 2 more shows after that.
Very nice.
All right, so Scotty, you're going to give us the word of the week.
I am. It is to fortify, verb.
Fortify, verb.
That's right. And this means to provide a place or a structure with defensive works such as enhanced protection. This could be weather protection, a roof, foundation, structural elements.
Okay.
It can mean other things, typically adding something, adding strength to something. It could be
I was going to say, it sounds like strengthen would be a good.
strengthen is a very common term across all these different
Yeah.
categories that you hear the word fortified, and it could be.
Well, I'm a common kind of guy.
Yes.
I need all the help.
The cereal
I can get.
you eat might be fortified with
Vitamins
vitamins and minerals.
or-
Vitamins and minerals. That's right.
You know.
That's right.
But today we're talking about roofs.
Okay, so Scott was talking about the fortified evaluator. We're going to hear more about what all of that entails.
Mhm.
Scott, what are those items that a fortified evaluator is looking at? This is our trivia
Well,
question.
this is
folks.
a trivia question, so I don't know if they're looking at these or not.
Well,
but-
what are the choices?
Okay, so would they be looking at the foundation type? Would they be looking at the roof framing? Would they be looking at the ventilation? Would they be looking at the installation protocols, meaning the fortified roof installation protocols? Or would they be looking at all of the above?
Okay.
And this is for a high wind and hail roof designation, which is what people in Oklahoma, the Hail Belt and Tornado Alley would want to have. There is a different fortified designation for the Gulf Coast.
Okay, we're not concerned about them. We're in Oklahoma. We wanna.
So I just want people to
We're
understand.
inland.
At
least for now.
Okay.
Until yeah.
So 405-608-4377. Okay, now young Scotty McCollum, who in the heck are you? What are you doing here?
I am Scotty McCollum, Jr. I am Scott's son of 31 years.
Okay.
And I have been in the roofing business now since high school, actually.
Yeah.
The summer between my junior and senior year in high school. So this is my 13th season
Okay.
in roofing.
Wow.
So you've been on quite a few roofs.
Yes, well, 13th year between part-time and full-time. Obviously, as I was going through high school and college, I was only
Yeah.
part-time, but now I'm full-time. Have been for 6 years now. And we typically, in the past, I've been our only full-time solution specialist, but thankfully, we've acquired some really great talent, some young individuals that care about people, care about building relationships, and are passionate about being a professional in their space. And those are Johnny Nicholas and Kelvin Chandler, who we both acquired last year. They were mutual connections of ours, and we had no intention of them becoming a McRoofer, but now they are solution specialists, and they're thriving and helping us improve our operation daily, as well as building stronger relationships with our clientele, and helping McRoof secure its next generation in the roofing space.
But let's talk about Scotty and what his particular expertise and passions are. And
I'm
Scotty-
better at
Yeah, go
talking
ahead.
about other people than myself.
Well,
sometimes.
I am too.
But,
I understand.
Well, my passions are in building relationships, certainly, and that is both with clientele, vendors, partners of ours that help us push our efforts to fortify Oklahoma, both in standard residential construction, working people's insurance claims, as well as things that we have just some concepts that we have begun to pursue that we think can be much bigger than just in the residential roofing space or in roofing in general. Might span different sectors of construction and software, you name it. We're always trying to innovate every day. We think of new things, and this guy right here beside me, he's always been a dreamer, and now we've got dreamers and implementers and people that are working towards our next generation, both to bring our company up in the standards that we try to uphold, as well as bring Oklahoma's standards for roofing up as well, which will help everybody in the long run.
Which is the entire topic of this whole show that we'll be bringing to you for the next however many weeks. Fortifying Oklahoma here on Freedom 96.9. Our trivia question still out there. What does a fortified evaluator look at when they inspect a job? Are they looking at the foundation, the sheathing, the framework, the ventilation, the installation, or all of the above? We'll take our first break. Our number is 405-608-4377. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. We're live in studio on Freedom 96.9 on a Saturday morning. Now, just think about that for a second. 405-608-4377. I'm here with Scott McCollum, Scotty McCollum, Retro Radio Randy. Will answer the phone when you call 405-608-4377.
Yep. Nope, nobody.
Well, we had one.
Well, had one. Missed it by that much. Rick, are you good on your headphones?
I do, and I'm hearing it
Okay,
now.
you're hearing it now. Okay. I had some replacement ones I could swap you out with.
Okay.
If you can hear it, you're good. Like I said, you just leave the board up and that will automatically fire. So,
Okay.
So you're good until, what's it, till 29.
Okay. And this runs back.
Yeah, it'll
Come back
allow
to
me
the
to
bumper.
jump. It'll allow me to jump to it like it did before. So yeah, so in 30 seconds it'll just automatically do it.
Okay. $20. $5.
Fortifying Oklahoma, back on the air on Freedom 96.9 on this date in 1768. The first U.S. Chamber of Commerce was formed in New York City. In 1792, George Washington exercised the very first presidential veto. He struck down a congressional bill to increase the number of northern states in the House of Representatives. Okay, so we're back live. 405-608-4377. Our trivia question is, what does a certified fortified evaluator look for when inspecting a job site that is installing a fortified roof? Are they looking for the foundation, the sheathing, the framing, the ventilation, or the installation, or all of that? 405-608-4377. So Scott, tell us more about this fortified concept of rebuilding.
Well, let's just kind of drop back a little bit.
Okay.
And then I want to lay some groundwork about McRoof, and I want to kind of, paint a picture, and then I want to kind of walk the path that gets us to Fortified.
Okay.
So McRoof is built looking at everything from the standpoint of consumer coming back to us. How does that look, mirroring that? And we understand that consumers in the insurance restoration space, or consumers dealing with roofing contractors, have traditionally had an awful lot of pain points, okay? There's been a lot about insurance restoration that is confusing. It's unclear to them what the proper path forward is. There's a lot of bad information out there. There are a lot of bad actors out there. There's a lot of things that happen during an insurance restoration claims process that shouldn't be happening. And there are a whole lot of decisions that are being made with what we call a less than well-educated consumer making a decision, okay? So what we want to do is our role in insurance restoration at McRoof, my solutions team, they're not called salespeople. Their role is not to sell anybody anything. Their role is to solve problems. Their role is to educate, to get people to understand what's really going on, what's really right, what's really legal, what's really the proper way to proceed. And so we start with a foundation of technical competency. I will say in front of a group of anyone in the roofing industry that I believe that I have the most technically competent group of people on my team of any roofing company around, okay? And it's because we start with technical competency. First of all, we don't typically hire folks from the roofing industry because most of those folks, particularly with experience in storm restoration, have learned so many bad habits and so many things that we will not do at McRoof. So it's really hard for us to unlearn them. I'd rather take a young man like Kelvin or a young man like Johnny, or like we did with Scotty, coming in with not all of that baggage. And we hire for who people are. We hire for a servant heart. We hire for people who are there with the intention of helping other people, people who want to grow themselves, and people who want to become very valuable to their families and to the marketplace. So technical competency starts immediately. That's book learning. That's online learning. That's manufacturer's credentials and training. That's installation. That's starting to walk side by side with other people doing what a restoration or roofing company does, okay? That's how we build that technical competency. We take our young people, and once they're ready to go and start getting on roofs, they're on roofs with Scotty McCollum, who in my mind, and I've said this to a lot of people, said it yesterday in a long lunch meeting with a man, Scotty McCollum is the most proficient roof inspector I've ever seen in my life.
Oh boy.
Okay? And part of that is because Scotty is so in the details. He is so, I don't want to use the word I was going to use. But
Can I say persnickety?
Persnickety, there you go. But he is,
That could be a good word,
he
right?
is technically proficient. He has the book learning, he has the education, he has the experience to be so good at it, and he takes pride in it, because he knows the result of his inspection protocols is going to lead everyone down a certain path. And he wants to make sure that that's based on actual data and facts and everything that he experiences on that roof or around that property.
Okay, we're going to give him a chance to explain some of that, because
You
it's
are? Okay.
time for him to get up on the roof.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So soon?
So soon.
We don't have any sound effect today, I suppose.
Well, we should.
That's okay.
There we go.
Oh, there it is.
So this is the segment of the show called Scotty's View from the Rooftop. And today's episode is titled Trial by Fire.
Well, Rick, it's been a trial by anything but fire.
Okay.
Wind, water. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot in the last couple of weeks, especially wind.
So what have you seen up there? What's it look like up there?
Well, you can usually see clear across all the rooftops in the metro, all the way down to Devon Tower, and you can see obviously all the radio posts out in the field. But besides that, you get a lot of gorgeous sunrises and sunsets when you do what I do. And
Working long
Oklahoma
hours.
has some of the best. Oh yes. Yes, we do.
Any particular story you want to regale us with?
Yes, so I will continue.
Because you only have 3 minutes now.
Yes,
so you
I will.
better hurry.
I will continue with the part of the live segment that I called in from the rooftop on last weekend.
Yeah.
Which
was on a different station. By
yes,
the way,
of course.
folks.
As you'll remember, I was roped and harnessed off on a 12 and 12 and 14 and 12 pitch roof.
That's pretty straight up, folks.
It's almost like a wall, essentially. And this gentleman, who's one of our mutual friends, who we share, part of the office complex with in Edmond, this was his personal house. He had some wind damage, but he's had wind damage the last few years on and off with every time a 40-mile-an-hour wind blows. 40+ mile-an-hour wind. Obviously, we've had some 70+ gusts over the last few weeks, and that's what's really done most of this damage. But I was up there doing his shingle repairs because Sean, our repair technician, he is just so booked up right now with repairs that anybody with the ability has to pitch in and help him, which I'm glad to. But it was it was a long Saturday last weekend, and what I determined actually is a very common defect, if you will, in the application of a shingle roof, and that is too few nails per tab.
Okay.
Or incorrect placement along the nail line per tab.
Shoddy workmanship, generally.
Generally, yes.
Installation error.
There you go.
However, when you've got such a large roof, you've got so many guys split up on the crew doing different portions of the roof, it can be very difficult to manage all of those different individuals unless the foreman is literally breathing down their neck, roped and harnessed off. And I doubt that was the case on this install because it was a builder roof. And I think a lot of people, especially that I've seen in the last 2 weeks, have those weaknesses in their roof system have been exploited by the wind that we've had. But it's just something that we see and we're used to, and we're even capable of retrofitting the roof in a proper manner when somebody does have wind-blown sections.
So the two major things that we see in all the wind damage is improper installation, number one, and number two is improper ventilation. Because when a shingle gets baked and dried out, then you start to have those problems.
Okay. Well, we're up against a hard break here on Freedom 96.9. You're listening to Fortifying Oklahoma. I'm Rick Allen Lippert. He's Restoration Specialist and Hall of Fame Remodeler Scott McCollum. Next to him, HAAG-certified Roofing Inspector Scotty McCollum. We're taking your calls at 405-608-4377. We'll be back after the break. Okay. Was that the close music that you played?
No, I put that in there. Do you want to put that there for that? I stuck it there because it was 60 seconds when I got it. That was for that segment. So we
Yeah.
can use a different one if we want to.
Well, my bump out is 30 seconds,
Okay.
and that's what I.
Okay, I can for next week.
Typically,
I'll put a 30 in there instead of the minute.
That I was
When I saw closer and I was like, oh, well, that's that half. So I thought, the other half. So yeah, well, I can do that. I'll do
I
30
understand.
next week. Yeah.
I understand.
I'll be ready for storm this next time.
Like I said, Randy, this will automatically fire just like before, where it'll go in, and so just make sure you got.
Do you think I have 10 seconds to summarize?
And then,
It'll
view
fire us all the way down.
at the
Yeah,
beginning
fire
of the
second.
next segment?
Now these spaces I
Sure.
was telling you about.
Okay.
I
Let me do the
think-
trivia and then.
I just did that to
Okay.
keep space in it.
You can
I think
even
if
just
you play
say,
fade and go,
so
it
Scott,
might
to
end up playing
summarize,
that blank
that
space.
was
That's
a
why I
true
always
test
take
of
that
your
one out.
abilities.
So,
Okay, I'll say.
So
yeah.
just
Yeah,
wait,
you
take this one out?
yeah, you can take
Hi
that
there.
one out and it's
Good
fine.
job.
So we highlight that?
Yeah,
and
just
then-
take it out.
Oh, you're
Hey,
listening?
Joe.
Now the other
This
one
is the
is
program
hard time,
director.
so you don't have to worry. Like
That's
I
Joe
said
Friday.
earlier,
Nice to
this
meet
one
you.
you don't have to worry about the space.
Joe
because
Friday.
it'll
Nice meeting you, Joe.
Nice to meet you.
like
And Scott,
over.
Big
So you
Scott.
don't have to worry
Nice,
about that.
nice.
But this one right here with the manual, I think
Okay.
with there's blank
Hey, Joe.
with it. So.
How's it going? Good, all right.
How's it sound?
Sounding good.
You're kind.
No, you guys sounded good.
It doesn't sound
Nice and
neophyte.
smooth. Nice and, no, it sounds good.
Okay,
Nice and
we're working on that part.
Smooth is good,
Okay.
smooth is good. Good
They're
job.
in
Thanks,
hi-fi
man.
this morning, that's what it is, it's hi-fi.
60 seconds.
I thought we had a 4-minute break.
It's counting down 50.
Is it?
There's a sweeper, weather sweep, and then AccuWeather.
Yeah.
Then the disclaimer, and then we're back in.
Okay. And it's the bump in programmed to automatically fire?
Yes.
Okay. Huh. They told me it was a 4-second break and this is 3.
Huh?
They told. Fortifying Oklahoma, back on the air. Back, there we go. Fortifying Oklahoma, back on the air for Act 2, Scene 1. On this date in 1923, the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company started producing inflatable tires. So we can, over 100 years ago.
Wow.
Just over 100 years ago. Hey, on this date, this isn't American history, but it does relate because of World War II. But on this date, in 1939, membership in the Hitler Youth became obligatory. So kids had to join the Hitler Youth on this date in 1939. All right, our trivia question still out there. A fortified inspector, a certified evaluator, a certified fortified evaluator is looking for what when inspecting a job? The foundation, the sheathing, the framing, the ventilation, the installation, or all of that? Give us a call if you think you know the answer, 405-608-4377. Scotty, you wanted to do a summary of your view of trial by not fire.
Well, it was just a true test of my ability hanging off that 14 and 12 and 12 and 12 roof and just shingling away. I was in the sun beating down on me in my sun hat.
Oh, he looked like a
sunscreened
lobster
up.
when I
I
saw him
prob-
after he got off
No,
that roof.
no,
Yeah,
no,
you
I
did
tan.
too.
No, I tan. I tan. I don't burn.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, it's not for the faint of heart, Rick.
Oh, believe me.
Hey Rick, I wanna give people a little idea about why are we here talking about these subjects? What qualifies us for that? Okay.
Yeah, that's
so
yeah.
number one, I want to tell folks that McRoof is has the highest level of credentials from CertainTeed.
Yeah.
CertainTeed, quality
see if I
made
can
certain,
find out.
satisfaction guaranteed. Our preferred manufacturer for all
Since
of our asphalt.
1906, is it?
1904 in the United
Wow.
States. Yeah.
Got it.
So we have the highest level of credentials, which places us in the top 1% of all roofing companies in America. So that's number one.
Very good.
Number two is that we as individuals possess a very high level of credentialing, okay, for all of these topics that we're talking about. As we talked about, Scotty and the guys are all HAAG credentialed inspectors.
Right.
HAAG has credentials for wind, residential, and commercial, and then they have a elite, master elite level inspector, and we have those credentials. We got a call there, Randy. We'll come back to me later. Let's go to John.
Okay, John, you're on the air. What's your question for Scott or Scotty? Or
Good
do you
morning.
want to take a shot at the trivia question?
Okay. Okay. Well, I don't know. That's a really good question, John. But I think that's TBD, to be determined. Quite honestly, I think the insurance companies are trying to figure out exactly how they're going to react and respond to this. I think that over the last couple of years, one of the things we've seen is we have seen the Class 4, the traditional Class 4 discounts disappearing with some companies and being reduced by other companies because in spite of that Class 4 shingle, the insurance companies continued to get their brains beat out by hail in Oklahoma. That's the bottom line, okay? It's Class 4 is Class 4, but all Class 4 roofs are not the same, okay? And that is really where Fortified comes in. The Fortified standard, okay, in order to achieve a Fortified designation, that specific shingle has to have been tested by IBHS, okay?
The Institute for Business and Home Safety.
Okay, they have to have physically tested that shingle and deemed it appropriate for inclusion in a fortified roof system, all right? That is a higher standard than Class 4 testing, okay? And Fortified requires a new technology, which we talk about since 2018. We have a new class of asphalt shingles that are called flex shingles. All right, it is a modified asphalt polymer. That shingle is typically thicker, it is heavier, it is softer and more pliable, therefore more resistant to high wind and hail. Performs even better than our old IR technology that was what was called scrim technology. So we now have a new, better way, and Fortified requires that better way, okay? So I think that the Fortified discounts in general should be greater than what the old traditional IR discounts were, because they know that that shingle's going to perform, and it's going to also bring some IR discounts or Fortified discounts back into play for companies that kind of kick those to the curb. So it's evolving. I can't answer your question directly. For your insurance company, you need to reach out to your agent or company and see where they stand on that issue. But I can tell you that Fortified roof construction is what everyone who's in the context of an insurance claim should be considering doing, okay? I've been installing Class 4 Flex Technology Certainty Northgate shingles in Oklahoma since 2018. We were the first company that jumped up and down and asked for and got these shingles brought into Oklahoma, and we have never replaced a Northgate Flex Technology Class 4 shingle for hail damage in Oklahoma since 2018, and we've installed thousands of them that have been through large hail in Norman and Ada and everywhere else.
I will make a slight correction, just a very minor correction. There are some blemishes that we have repaired from extreme hail impact, softball and baseball sized, with 70 miles an hour.
I
We have
told you
not
he's
replaced
pretty. I told you he's pretty granular.
You said a shingle.
We have never
A roof
replaced
system. We have
an
never replaced a
asphalt
roof system.
shingle roof with this technology. So.
And John, I will make a comment. There's one carrier, only one insurance carrier that I know of currently, who puts any information in their documents to their clients about Fortified roof systems. I don't think I'm at liberty to give names of carriers on this station, but there's only one that I've seen, and I review a lot of policies. I also review a lot of claims, insurance claims, and I hope, and we do think that once fortified roofing in Oklahoma gains more traction and it gains more popularity, or at least more interest in people investigating what it is all about and what is required to elevate your home from a standard roof application to a fortified standard of roofing. We think that the insurance carriers will begin to really to build a more robust incentive structure for their clientele to install a fortified roof system. Kind of like how they did when the SBS technology Class 4 impact resistant shingles began to really spread in Oklahoma and the Hail Belt.
Hey, John, I need to jump in here and give you a chance to answer the trivia question. So when a fortified evaluator is on a job, certifying that job.
Hold on. Certifying for a high wind and hail roof designation.
Right.
Okay?
So is that evaluator looking at the foundation, the sheathing, the framing, the ventilation, the installation, or all of the above?
Wow.
Nice job, John.
How in the heck did you know that? Okay. Okay, all right. But because most people out there in the listening audience would have gone, well, what the heck would an evaluator for a roof be looking at my foundation for?
Exactly.
And they would have gone to one of the other answers. So you are absolutely right, and you're going to get some free tickets for the
Carpenter
Square
Theater.
Theater.
So
Stay on the line, John.
John, stay on the line. Talk to Randy. It may take a moment because I'm going to put him to work here in just a moment. So thank you, John.
Have a good day,
so
John.
in the minute we have, less than the minute we have left.
Yeah.
Where did I go with this? You finish up, Scott.
Okay, so what I want to say is that the reason this show is here, all right, is that I've been at this a long time. I understand all the pain points from the consumers and the insurance side of things. I know the pain every time somebody writes a check for their homeowner's premium, and I know that the insurance companies are going to do something, dictate something that is going to have to happen. Well, that something that's going to have to happen is you're going to have to start building better roofs. If you don't, you won't be able to afford insurance, or you will not be able to buy insurance. I tell the home builders, if people can't buy insurance or afford insurance, they can't afford your house. They can't get a mortgage. So this is not an if, this is going to happen. So
When?
be an early adopter. Next time you have an opportunity to upgrade to a fortified roof system, invest in the protection of your home, your property, and your family. Invest in it, and you'll reap the benefits, and will move the pendulum in terms of where we are in the insurance crisis.
Well, when we come back from this next break, I want to ask you more about this fortified stuff and the conditions that it is designed to withstand.
Sure,
Okay?
absolutely.
So
Love to.
let's go ahead and take our next break. This is the end of Act 2, Scene 1. We'll be back with Scene 2 in just a bit. You're listening to Fortifying Oklahoma, live on Freedom 96.9, live on a Saturday morning. You got it? You can still call in a question, 405-608-4377. We'll be right back.
Punch that off.
That's from Chris. Says the number says disconnected.
Hey, Kelvin, do you want these tickets?
He tried to call in and says
We
disconnected.
only have one line.
Huh?
We only have one line.
Well, I'll
So
make
when he's
sure
on the
that
air,
you
it goes
know
to a
that,
busy signal.
He may
If
be
you want
busy
to
signal.
one
Yeah.
him, you can have.
Because there's
Okay.
only one line.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, man. You bet. That was Kelvin.
Ah.
Of course that was Kelvin.
Yeah, that's how I knew the answer.
Chris was trying to call too, but he couldn't get in.
Oh, do you have your dad's wisdom?
I will have.
Are we doing after the storm?
We'll do storm as soon as, when we come back.
Okay.
I'll talk about my fortified credentials before you jump into your questions.
Got about 30 seconds. Ready?
Here we go. Fortifying Oklahoma, back on the air live on Saturday morning on Freedom 96.9. On this date in 1989, Late Night with David Letterman, the late night show on NBC, became the first network TV show to broadcast in Dolby Stereo. 1989. Now, on this date in the future, Earth's first contact with the extraterrestrial Vulcan species in the Star Trek universe happened on April 5th, 2063. For all you Trekkers out there, that is so obscure historical trivia. And by the way, every day is a national something day. This happens to be National First Contact Day because the Vulcan race contacted the human race on Earth on this date, theoretically in 2063.
Wow.
And thank goodness for that, otherwise we wouldn't have Star Trek.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, Scott, you were wanting to, I wanted you to tell me more about your credentials, because I know you have so many darn letters after your name.
We won't get into all the building and construction credentials, and we won't get into the insurance credentials other than to say that I am a licensed public adjuster in the state of Oklahoma. I do not use that in the conduct of our business, obviously. Really have that to serve some of my roofing community friends and neighbors who need help from time to time. But it's really for an education and a technical competency background to be able to train my people. The credentials that people should be most concerned with or see the most value to are all of my HAAG credentials. And I have all of the HAAG credentials, including the master level inspector, only one in the state of Oklahoma, only one in the surrounding 4 states.
Wow.
For that matter. I am also a fortified evaluator, all right? And McRoof is a fortified contractor. So the roofing company has all of the credentials, the ability to be able to provide you with a certaintied integrity roof system with the proper IBHS tested asphalt shingle, Northgate or Landmark Climate Flex, and do that in the context of a fortified roof system. We're proficient and qualified to do that. I am able to serve as an evaluator for anyone who has a roofing contractor, would like to build a fortified roof, and needs to make sure that that is done correctly. That's what that evaluator role is really for. The evaluator is there to determine, number one, eligibility of a property, which starts with the foundation type and goes to the roof construction, the framing and the sheathing. That's the pre-evaluation. Does it qualify in our terms? Is it mitigable or non-mitigable? In other words, can we bring it up to fortified standards or can we not? Okay, so that's a get off place or a let's keep going place. We're in the let's keep going place. Now you select a roofing contractor, you have your roofing contractor. he doesn't know what this is all about, but this is what you know you need to do and you're willing to invest in it, I will walk them through this thing. I will make sure that the materials that are delivered to your job site are the materials that meet all of the standards. I will require the documentation, the photographs of every step of the process to ensure that it's done exactly to the fortified standard. At the end, I will gather everything up and submit it to IBHS Fortified audit team for them to review, and assuming that I and the contractor have done everything correctly, they will issue your designation, which you now have, that you can take to your insurance company, okay? And that's what the evaluator role is.
So beyond just getting the discount on the homeowner's insurance, what are the conditions that this fortified building standard is designed to withstand?
Okay, so let me take you to, we all know that roofs are more expensive than they've ever been, obviously, but the roof itself, the roof covering, whether that's an asphalt shingle or whether that's metal or whether that's tile or slate or wood shingles, whatever, that is not where the huge significant damages come in, okay? In other words, that's quantifiable, and the insurance companies understand that. What we want to do is we want to keep that roof covering in place. That's through the attachment methods, and it's through the use of the proper products and proper ventilation.
So
okay?
without getting into the
That's-
fine details of nail spacing and
Yeah.
nail types and stuff, like
But-
what about wind speed? Because that's been a big deal.
130 miles an hour plus.
So a wind of 130 mile an
130
hour
mile-
plus,
exactly.
your roof deck will stay on the house.
Exactly. In fact, that's
Especially
your
if it's fortified, yes.
basic. Yeah, what your roof deck, and this is where we're really at. We are wanting the roof deck to stay in place. We recognize we may lose, you know, an EF0, an EF1, an EF2 tornado. We may lose a portion of the roof covering. We want the deck to stay in place, and we seal the deck so that the deck will not, even if you lose the covering, water is not going to get inside your home, okay? If we can keep the water out of your home, we've eliminated the mold and the mildew, we've eliminated moving you out of the house, moving all of your contents out, the interior remediation, the rebuild, the additional living expense. We have taken 70 to 80% of what that potential loss could have been out of play. Okay?
Correct.
Now the loss is limited to what happened on top of your roof. Everybody can deal with that. It's going to drive premiums down, it's going to provide protection up, and you're going to benefit from it.
So all of that happened because of a storm, and now is the segment we call Before the Storm, or sometimes it's After the Storm.
Sometimes, yeah, depending
Most
on,
of the time in Oklahoma, Rick, it's before and after the storm,
There you go.
simultaneously.
There you
So
go.
this segment is brought to you by RoofRx. Tell us, give us some information, some
Okay.
tips to survive before the storm.
Well, you know, the before the storm is really two things. Number one, before the storm, I want people to understand what their insurance contract says. Okay? I want you to get your insurance contract out, and I want you to understand what it says. I want you to look and see what is your wind and hail deductible. Typically in Oklahoma, that's what we're talking about. What is your wind and hail deductible? It's different than your standard perils deductible. Number two is, what coverage do you have? In other words, do you have, what type of coverage? Do you have a replacement cost policy on your roof? Or do you have an actual cash value or depreciated basis on your roof? I want you to look specifically and see if you have a line item on your declarations page that talks about building upgrades or code coverage or ordinance of law, okay? If you don't have those things, we need to have a different conversation. But that's the first part of it. You want to go to the caller? Let's go take Brian's
let's
call.
get Brian's call in here. Hello, Brian. What's your question?
Well, Brian, I appreciate the call. I don't know. So here's what I can tell you: that the Strengthen Oklahoma Homes Grant Program rolled out March 3rd, March 10th, something
About
like
a month
that.
ago, yeah.
With the original 10 zip codes. All right. In the course of that original rollout of those first 100 grants, the Oklahoma Insurance Department added 2 additional zip codes. Okay, one was in Norman, I think kind of east, maybe southeast Norman, and the other was essentially northeast Oklahoma City, Luther, Jones, kind of over in that direction. So it's getting closer, okay, but it's not there yet. The next rollout, as I currently understand it, will be sometime in May. Okay, I know that OID is having their next meeting for evaluators and contractors here in the next week or two, and then shortly following that, they'll roll out a new set of zip codes. And you may be included at that point in time. But there are going to be 3 or 4 rollouts of the initial 1,000 grants this year. We'll just need to keep an eye every time one of those comes out.
Yeah, bookmark the OID website if you would, Brian, because that would be a helpful tool for you to monitor.
Absolutely, and then we can talk some more about the program itself. If you stay on, we're going to talk a little bit about what the evaluator and contractor roles are and what you need to know about that. Thanks for your call,
Thanks,
Brian.
Brian.
Have a
Really
good one.
appreciate it. Hey, we're about to wrap up. I want to thank everybody for tuning into the inaugural episode of Fortifying Oklahoma here on Freedom 96.9. We'll be back week after week talking more about fortifying Oklahoma. I have to say, though, that S&CM LLC, doing business as McGriff.us, legally operates under Oklahoma registration number 8000002, and that the registration applies to both residential and commercial roofing. Scott, wrap up with some dad's wisdom.
All right, I'll do it. So 1 boy is a boy, 2 boys is half a boy, and 3 boys is no boy at all.
And I think you can figure
My
that
dad,
out.
my daddy.
Thank you to Retro Radio Randy for pushing the knobs today. Thank you, Scott and Scotty.
bet.
I'm Rick Allen Lippert. We will be back next week.
Come back and see us next week. We'll have some new features for you.
Live on Saturday morning.
This hour flew by.
It sure did. We'll see you folks next week.
Have a good weekend.
You're out.
Ah, that little delay. That tripped me up there. It took me a moment to realize what was going on. Well, we did it.
So